Problem number 7, this is clearly a quadratic. So we see that there's that squared term in there, and we've got an equation, so we're going to be getting the value out for x, so we're going to be solving it. And so I'm going to use one of my techniques for solving a quadratic equation, and that includes either factoring, completing the square, using the quadratic formula. So those are the tools that we discussed. We know that if we're going to use any of those tools, so again, the tools that we have, one tool is we could factor. We talked about factoring is the fastest way, usually, to go ahead and solve a quadratic, but sometimes it doesn't always work because the numbers aren't nice to allow us to factor easily. So then we've got completing the square. Or, and you can go in either of these, it doesn't really matter, or the quadratic formula, because the quadratic formula is really just a generic completing the square. So it's like we've completed the square with just variables. Okay, so we've got those three options. So I always try to factor first if I can. If I can't, then I'm going to jump to, or if it doesn't look like it's going to be nice, I'm going to jump to one of these two. So before we use any of these tools, you must have your equation equal to 0. So when we solve quadratics, we want them equal to 0. Linear equations are not that way. Linear equations, we just move things over and solve for x. But quadratics, a little bit different. So I'm going to move everything over to the left side. So I'm going to add 4x, and I'm going to add 4. And so when I do that to both sides, the left side becomes this. And then when I add those to the right side, well, there's nothing left on the right side, so I get 0. And that's what I want. Since I've got 0, I'm going to try to factor here. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me 4, but add to give me, sorry, I pointed the wrong 4. Multiply together to give me 4, but add together to give me this 4. So the only numbers that multiply together to give me 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. The only nice numbers. When I say nice, integers. So if you look here, what I notice is that these add up to 5, but these add up to 4. So I get this. Well, what are my answers? Well, my answers are when this is 0 or when this is 0. So if x is -2, so in other words, when is x plus 2 equal to 0? Well, when x is -2. Now you can just see that by looking to see what you would plug in to make it equal to 0. On this side, well, it's the same exact thing. So I'm going to get the same answer out. In fact, we call this a repeated solution. So it looks like -2 is going to be an answer to this equation. Okay, so my solution is -2, and I don't have to write it twice because it's the same solution. So I can just leave just the one there. Now you should go back and check to make sure if you take -2 and you plug it in, that if you take -2 and plug it in, that the equation does balance itself out, that you've got both sides equal to one another.